They're known as one of the most persecuted minorities in the world. The Rohingya are a stateless people living mainly in Myanmar's western region. Today, they're in crisis. Tens of thousands are living in refugee camps after violent clashes with Buddhists. Amid a growing humanitarian crisis, some politicians are now calling for the Rohingyas' expulsion from the country. I'm Fauzia Ibrahim. On this edition of 101 East, we examine the fate of a population with nowhere to go.
Fires raged over large areas of Myanmar's Rakhine state in June. Amateur footage, filmed secretly and smuggled out of the country, tell a frightening story. Entire villages burnt to the ground. Desperate, futile attempts to stop the flames from spreading. Amid the chaos, villagers prayed for help. But the flames were not the result of a natural disaster. They were lit after years of simmering tensions between two ethnic groups. Myanmar's Buddhist Rakhine people and the stateless Rohingya.
They are killing us. They are pushing us into the Bay of Bengal. How can we keep our patience?
The suspected rape and then murder of Tida Tway, a young Rakhine Buddhist woman, is believed to have sparked the crisis. 3 Rohingya men were arrested. But that didn't calm a growing wave of anger.
Who are the problem makers significantly? Rakhine people didn't start the problem.
Today, tens of thousands of Rohingya are living in refugee camps, their movements restricted. Amid a growing humanitarian crisis, there are mounting calls for their expulsion from the country.
No, this is not ethnic cleansing. This is not very far away from ethnic cleansing.
Myongya is a bumpy 8-hour ride west of Yangon. We're here to meet Muni and her young daughter, a Muslim family who have paid a terrible price for sharing the same faith as the Rohingya. Muni's husband Lukman was in Rakhine State for a religious visit when he and at least 8 other Muslims were beaten to death by a Rakhine mob. Revenge, it seems, for the murder of the Rakhine Buddhist woman just days before. None of those killed were Rohingya. Not everyone is as forgiving. Days later, hundreds of angry Muslim Rohingya protesters took to the streets of Mongdor, a town in northern Rakhine. It's unclear when or how things turned ugly. Rakhine houses were set on fire, and in the ensuing violence, lives were lost on both sides. A wave of reprisals followed as violence spread across the state. On the 10th of June, the government declared a state of emergency.
The Rohingya issue is stimulated by the exiled Muslim group. These are very harmful to the Rakhine community.
All looks calm in Sitwe, capital of Rakhine State. There are few signs of the violence that rocked this town in June. At a local NGO, the Free Funeral Service Society, volunteers take stock of donated goods. It's been a particularly busy time. The group has been helping Rakhine refugees affected by the conflict. A volunteer blames the recent violence on the Rohingya, whom he calls Bengalis.
They are the Bengali. But they want Rakhine township. Oh, this is a problem. This is my township. This is a Rakhine township. The Rakhine house, Rakhine village.
He shows us photos of what he says are Rakhine houses that have been burnt down.
The Rakhine house, the fire, 2,000 house, the fire.
Near the river, very poor, Muslim very poor. And 4 Muslim house, the fire, but organized people house very big, near the 50, 60. So 4 and 50.
You show us?
Yeah, sure.
But despite repeated requests, the volunteers don't take us to see any burnt down Rakhine houses. Instead, they bring us here. At the height of the crisis, many Rakhine refugees sought shelter in monasteries like this one. Most have since gone home, but dozens remain. Under a tree, 3 children take an afternoon nap. Their father says his family's been here for about 3 months. This woman has a similar story. We meet the head monk. He wants to show us some photos.
So he said, I'm to Rohingya. I have to Bengali raped by a Rakhine woman. The Rohingya, the Bengali.
I'm a bit confused. What is the difference between Rohingya and Bengali? Because you say Bengali, you say Rohingya, so it's not the same?
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah. Rohingya not Bengali.
This rejection of the word Rohingya appears to be rooted in the belief that they are not actually natives of Myanmar.
Bangladeshနိုင်ငံဤတရားမဝင်သောဘင်္ဂလီလူမျိုးတွေရဲ့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံကိုတစိမ့်စိမ့်အဲ့ဒီအတွက်တာကြောင့်အခုဦးဇင်းတို့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံရဲ့တယံသားဗုဒ္ဓဘာသာရခိုင်လူမျိုးတွေရဲ့နှလုံးအိမ်ထဲမှာအစာဆင်းရဲတဲ့ဘေးအဝတ်ဆင်းရဲတဲ့ဘေးအနေဆင်းရဲတဲ့ဘေးသက်ဖြတ်ဘေးစိတ်တုံလုံး၆ချမှုဘေးဟောမှာကျောင်းနေမော်မှာနေပြီးတော့ဖုံတော့ရခိုင်အမျိုးသမီးဗုဒ္ဓဘာသာသူတို့မတိကျင့်တယ်နောက်ပြီးတော့မောက်တော့ပေါ့မောက်တော့မှာနေပြီးတော့အဲ့ဒီမွတ်စလင်တွေရခိုင်သူရခိုင်သားဗုဒ္ဓဘာသာအိုးအိမ်နေမြေအကုန်လုံးမိချို့တယ်အဲ့ဒါနဲ့ရခိုင်နဲ့မွတ်စလင်နဲ့ရခိုင်ဆိုတာပေါက်ဆက်လို့အနာဂတ်မှာလည်းမရဘူးအတိတ်ကလည်းမရဘူးပြစ္ဆုတ်ပံမှာလည်းမရဘူး
It's clear some people are no longer welcome here. In downtown Sitwe, the Rakhine are everywhere, but there's not a single Rohingya on the streets. It's not just the people who've disappeared. Whole communities, like this former Rohingya fishing village, have been destroyed. A drive around Sitwe reveals the scale of the destruction. The suburb of Nazi was home to some 10,000 people, mostly Rohingya. Any Rohingya still living in downtown Sitwe have been told to stay indoors. U Ong Win lives in the only Rohingya neighborhood still standing in the area.
The security force and government is telling if you go outside, the Rakhine people will be very more angered upon you. So they even can attack you, and then kill you.
It's a warning that hits home. Tragedy struck when a Rakhine mob attacked the community on the 10th of June.
2 of my brother-in-law were killed from my me. How can I keep my patient? Is they right? They are doing for their country, or they want to kill us? They are destroying Rohingya people.
In Myanmar, most Rohingya hold white identity cards, indicating that they're only residents of the country. Citizens, on the other hand, hold red cards and are treated differently. A Rohingya activist who asked not to be identified explains.
Can't go from one place to another. Our movement is restricted. We can't marry with our choice. First, we have to apply them for what is called permission to marry, and then if they agree, okay, we can marry. If I want to go from Maundo to Bothidown, I need their permission. We are living as animals, that is all. We have no rights, nothing.
We've just entered a restricted area. And for the first time since arriving in Rakhine State, we see Rohingya people on the streets. Away from downtown Sitwe, cut off from the rest of the population, confined to an area surrounded by security checkpoints. Hundreds of tents soon come into view. As well as temporary shelters donated by aid organizations. Our first stop is a religious school, or madrasa. As we enter, scores of refugees surround us, anxious to tell us their stories. It's something we hear again and again. Accusations that security forces targeted the Rohingya during the violence. Halima and her daughter went into hiding when the attack started, but they were soon discovered.
Are my matan eto tara goron coin eto to do things and mari fili reki. I heard de oba fallen of wine over to rush a mari fili done on bro hode mata loye matan are nyati mari di fili. Nyati mari fili and maribade azi waya are tamido jomata my for a hatsa mari di fili. Hat hatamate hat bangi. E sargo bazi mata fulishage ashi. Hai mata tara kasuno ho e rasama tara bora gadi bora ki bade ara dupaida mata ara hozon tara foinaka tara biraka samarige huduno ta hat harigi go hudu nibe harigi hudu intin mari fula di fille bia kuno dupai.
For those who survived, there are new challenges. The monsoon season is here, and there's not enough shelter. There's also a lack of food, clean water, and medicine.
International Red Cross are coming in every camps for 2 hours per day. So it's not enough. They have not enough medicine to provide to all the patients. Most of the children are suffering from diarrhea and malaria and other diseases like malnutrition also due to the lack of food. But we don't have any health facility. So we cannot go to the general hospital also to be admitted to get any treatment from there.
A humanitarian crisis looms. Inside another overcrowded school, we meet Kulsum Bibi and her brother. Their parents were killed during the violence. Their aunt can barely look after them. Many of the children here are malnourished and jaundiced, in desperate need of food and medical attention. Kulsum Bibi doesn't make it. She dies several days later. In Yangon, we visit the office of the Rakhine Nationalities Development Party.
Rakhine peoples have two kinds of fears. From the east, by the operations of military elites. From the east. And also from the west, the fear of Islamization. We are survival condition with these two whips.
This is the teacher, Xiao Mongchanda, who was killed by his students.
Youth leader Kain Jo Mo points out a Rakhine victim of the recent violence. Throughout the crisis, his party has been a vocal defender of what it calls the Rakhine people's ethnic rights.
We only care about our identification. If we care about, human rights too much, our identification will be lost. That's it. Because we don't care about the globalization, whatever westernization, we don't care. Because, the mightiest, the survival. This is the truth.
Strong words. But these two men have also suffered oppression. Both are former political prisoners. Like many Rakhine, they remain deeply suspicious of the military government.
Do believe that even governments themselves invoke these rights?
For example, let's say now Arkanis and Muslim are fighting. Okay, the referee is the government. Let's say, okay. So if the referee seems like bias the Arkanis people will say, okay, we support Mr. President. They win. They win. This is political manipulation. So this is kind of, sometimes superpower playing on this and that. Sometimes we don't keep up with that. It's very complicated, I would like to say. So peace will be never, built up in just wait and see. In our generation, no, I would say no. Maybe it is lucky if we don't have to handle weapons later.
This is the Naf River in Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh. Rakhine State sits on the opposite bank. For thousands of desperate Rohingya, the river is a way out of Myanmar. Human rights worker Korban Ali was here in June when Rohingya refugees arrived by the boatload. Border guards were on high alert.
গত জুনের 16 তারিখের ঘটনা। সেদিন বিজিবি 5 জনের এক পরিবারকে একটা বাচ্চা ছিল, ছোট বাচ্চা ছিল এরকম যে ওই মহিলা গর্ভবতী ছিল। নৌকার মধ্যে যখন বিজিবি তাকে ফিরিয়ে দিচ্ছিল ওই মুহূর্তে তার বাচ্চা হয়। সেই বাচ্চা সহ পরে বিজিবি ফিরিয়ে না দেয়, তাদের হেডকোয়ার্টারে নিয়ে যায় এবং তারা ওইখানে বেশ দিন রেখে চিকিৎসা দেয়। পরবর্তী ফলোআপটা আমরা আর জানিনি যে সেই বাচ্চাগুলো এবং ওই পরিবার 5 জনের পরিবারকে তারা কী করেছে।
Those who manage to evade capture will join the more than 200,000 Rohingya already in Bangladesh. The UN runs 2 camps along the border. But these house just 30,000 Rohingya refugees who came much earlier. Many more live outside the camps, undocumented and at risk of arrest and exploitation. This man and his family arrived from Myanmar 11 days ago. He shows us his new home, a hut inside an illegal Rohingya settlement.
ছজনের মাঝে এই যেমন নলেয়া মাঝে মাথা গনা একজনতে 1000 টাকা খরচ তো এটা আইনে আরা মানে কিও লাগনা পাই এডিও ডিপার্টমেন্ট লাগনা মারা শুরু করি এটা ভাই বন্ধু আছে হিসাবে আর এটা মানি গলি তো গলিও নারা আমার স্থান পাই তো স্থান পাই আমার রই তো রই না বাইরে হাসকর্ম করি হাই তাই হাসকর্ম করি হাস পাইলে হাই না পাইলে না হাই মানে এই ধরনের হতারি।
There are other recent arrivals. Nurajan and her husband Abdullah have just been reunited.
Barman maze ara bishi dukh kasht har ara guli marer hader moge ara zaidulum bishi gorer ara neli goli na parir ara hamay holo pulaya haina parir tar bedawar ye dori logi gona pore ar be foin chaile bishi host har ara re musulman esani kore ara fargara di ara musulman desh boli ede sundu kore ashira rehon yot ashi monche ara re ekada gorom maze sajje gori yamaze di honobete maizasi ara yamaze roi.
They didn't know if they would ever see Abdullah again.
পেছানো দিহার বাবতে আছে তারা গিবা তুই বাসে দরিয়ারে লগি দেড় এগোজা হাড়ের মারের মুসলমানরে বনখলা মারম মাঝে মারের বা দে আছে টনের ভিতরে মারের এগোজা বেগুম মরা বেগুম হাড়া সিরা হেড়ে গিয়ে দেড় লত পাই মতো দরিয়ারে তুলি লগি গাড়ি মাঝে।
Abdullah says he was tortured for 2 weeks before he escaped. He says his family will never go back to Myanmar. But they're not welcome here either. Settlements like this one are barely tolerated in Bangladesh. Refugees get virtually no support. The government has told aid organizations not to help them.
We've appealed to Bangladesh to keep its borders open, to try to provide some kind of assistance. We've appealed on humanitarian grounds first and foremost, not from legal arguments. There are legal arguments that can be made, but we're appealing on humanitarian grounds.
Bangladesh cannot afford to give opportunities to their own citizens. How can they afford to give opportunities to other citizens of other countries? And definitely it creates a reaction on the citizen of Bangladesh also.
Unwelcomed by Bangladesh and unrecognized as citizens in Myanmar, most Rohingya have nowhere to go.
Hungry. So angry and so feel seriously about what may be in future. What will be in future. The government is very cruel.
At the camps outside Sitwe, more temporary shelters are being added every day. Each one is expected to hold 10 families. There are fears this could become a permanent arrangement. Others are warning of worse.
If international community thinks they are minority, if they think they are Muslim, they need not to be worried about. Then let Myanmar government put them in concentration camp and do the same thing what the Nazis had done with the Jewish people.